What's up, guys? It's your girl, Knowledge by Nikki with 1K. That is Knowledge by Nikki. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at gmail.com, all that good stuff, right? How y'all doing today? I'm doing great. I am actually enjoying this time of change and restructuring and all this other good stuff. But I want to talk to you all who feel like you're on virtual overload, because I actually feel like I'm on virtual overload too. Who would have thought, guys? I'm 50 years old. I'll be 51. I never would have thought in a million years that the only way that we would have been able to get information, guys, was to get it virtually. Who would have thought? Who knew, right? So I'm a knowledge junkie, as those of you all that know me know that about me. So I love information. I love learning. I love anything that has to do with education. But I actually do miss a little bit of in-person learning. I miss a little bit of being able to feel a person's energy, of being physically present, and I miss that a little bit. Now, let me explain something. I am a natural introvert. I want you to call it a thinking introvert, or what some statistical data will call a social introvert, meaning my real personality is that I like solace. I love being by myself. I love learning at my own pace. I'm a person that does well with online anything. It is my happy place, okay? And even though the way the world has kind of evolved and the way we're learning now is really right up my alley, I'm actually okay with it. But even me, with as disciplined as I am and as much as I really prefer this, I'm even on virtual overload, right? So I am the business restructuring coach for several beauty businesses, mostly salons. So I'm the girl that comes in and I totally overhaul your business to make sure that it succeeds, or if it's failing, we fix it, or if you haven't started yet and you want to start, I make sure you do the right thing so you don't fall into that position. So that is my job. I am your beauty restructuring coach, beauty business restructuring coach. And I can tell you that most of the people that I coach are not necessarily like me. So let me explain what I mean. There's been this whole left brain, right brain theory, right? Those of us are not foreign to hearing about it, even if we don't fully understand it. What I am finding, that the virtual trainings that are out there, whether it be a webinar, class, I don't care what it is, most of them are actually geared up to more left brain thinkers. So here I am, I'm a coach for several people who are actually more right brained in their natural nature, but yet they've now been forced to, the only way they can really learn and acquire the knowledge that they need is through virtual platforms that are more focused, at least the ones that I've seen, on more left brain thinkers. So let me break down what that means, and you'll be the judge of who you are and whether that means or whether that's for you. First thing is right brain thinkers. This is nothing new. You can take any data, any survey, any place that has done this type of statistical data, and they all come up with around the same stuff. Right brain is known to be more creative and artistic. They're a lot more intuitive. They're more emotionally connected or disconnected. They typically like things that are moving, not so much still and mundane. And they're more spontaneous. They are the creative people of society. They're the musicians. They're the art teachers. They're the architects. These are the type of jobs, the hairstylists, the barbers. These are the type of jobs a lot of right brain people will have, because it works naturally with their dominant part of how their brain works. Now, it doesn't mean we don't operate in both spheres, because we do, but typically you're more dominant in one area than the other. So let's talk about left brain people. Left brain people are typically known as being more analytical and methodical. They're a lot more structured. They like order. They like things have to make sense to them. They don't do good in clutter. I am more left brain, so I totally understand that mindset. Things have to kind of go in a step 1, step 2, step 3, or their brain shut down. And it's interesting because I actually was I've always been left brain, but I was right brained because that was my profession. But then I evolved more into the dominant side of how my brain functions. So I actually am totally one of those that can understand both sides, but I operate more on the left side. So let's look at that. When I look at a lot of the virtual trainings today, and I'm going to break this down all week for you, so you'll fully understand, for those of you all doing virtual trainings, doing any type of online training, if you don't structure your training where it kind of appeals to both audiences, you're going to lose some people. And if you're doing this to make a living and you're trying to get people to actually come on board to whether it's your memberships or whatever it is, then you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot if you don't understand how to appeal to both audiences. So the trainings that I'm seeing, the ones that I've signed up for, the ones that I'm, doing their demos, the ones that I'm actually seeing, they're really more geared up for left brain thinkers. They're more text-based, they're more orderly, they're more methodical. They require you to kind of analyze what it is that they put on the screen. Everything is not very self-explanatory. When they're doing these demos, they're not doing graphs and things aren't moving. And so I'm hearing from my people who are right brain thinkers that they're getting it, but they're just not getting enough of it. They feel lost still. They feel like we're not able to really get what we need because right brain thinkers totally function from energy, from the things that only come with person-to-person connection, and unfortunately we just aren't able to have enough of that. I also believe that it is also the reason why I don't think everybody's trying to be rebellious against stay-at-home orders or shelter in place, which we've had before, or 6 foot distancing, 6 feet between each other, or not doing the social gatherings. Or I don't think people are deliberately, some are, but I don't think people are deliberately saying, I'm just going to be a rebel and I'm just going to disobey rules. I think when your natural need for this type of connection, which totally comes from probably more right brain thinking, is to feel a person's energy, to actually be in a space where you can feel them from a human connection and not through a screen. It makes it very difficult and for some virtually impossible to stay away from each other. So, that's neither here nor there, but I want to break down all week about the whole left brain, right brain concept. It is extremely important. If you are teaching anything virtually, you need to understand the components of what needs to happen in order for you to be successful with your trainings, or you're going to be doing them and wondering why they're not growing, why your memberships are not growing, what is actually going on, right? So I'm going to just read a couple of things for you. And all week, because this is kind of long, so it's nothing you can get through within not even an hour, guys. So I'm going to break this up into a bunch of bite-sized pieces. I know we already are on virtual overload, and I don't want to overload you at one time anyway with all of this information. So now this is more of a left brain concept. There's no flash, there's no music, there's nothing here, but this is the way that I want you to get this, and then I'll tell you at the end of this week what we're going to do to kind of help you grasp this a little more. So I'm going to talk about one of the things that actually is needed for a left brain thinker. And actually I'll just mention two. With left brain, we'll talk about left brain first. That's just because that's what I have in front of me first. Left brain thinkers, when it comes to online learning, you have to break things up into smaller pieces. They have to be smaller milestones. Left brain people love details. You have to go from like a movie, like when you're doing a movie and the movie starts real, little piece, and then it gets bigger, and then the next piece, and by the end of the movie you can okay, that's what they're really trying to tell me. If you're doing left brain, which you're going to be teaching both, it's inevitable that you're going to have both audiences. Then you need to be able to understand these are things you're going to have to learn how to do with your left brain thinkers. Okay, this is another thing, and then I'm gonna stop here, guys. You're going to have to incorporate real world simulations. That means if you're teaching people, only an experienced person or somebody that's really good with reading a lot can actually incorporate real world scenarios. That means you're going to have to use a lot of metaphors. Okay, for those of you that know what that means, look it up, metaphors, okay? Those are just two of the... it's a lot, guys. I think it's 10 things that we're going to talk about all week that deals with left brain online learners. So make sure you tune in all week. KnowledgeByNikki.com on Facebook with 1K. Make sure you tune in to learn more about left brain online learners. And then we're going to go into right brain. So I'll see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Make sure you go on Facebook, Knowledge by Nikki with 1K, and you'll be able to get all of this information. So we'll see you soon.